David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today, I have for you a brand new pen from Pineider. It's one of their most affordable pens to date and is called the Metropolis. What I'm going to do today is go over the unique parts and features of the Metropolis, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. In addition, I will be giving away one of these pens to a lucky viewer, courtesy of Goulet Pens, who kindly provided the pens you will see today for review and to give away to one of you. The pen arrives in this interesting box. It's more of a display box, like you'd see in a retail store. You don't see display boxes like this often coming from online retailers. The majority of the visible marketing talks about their custom pen system, where they provide you with the means to customize your pen, something that I'll be showing you how to do here in a bit. But for now, let's take a look at this pen. This is the Pineider Metropolis. I've seen some people comment they felt the Metropolis was a takeoff on the Pilot Metropolitan name, but I don't feel that's the case. Pineider has named a number of their pens after films. The Avatar, Back to the Future, Full Metal Jacket, La Grande Bellezza, just to name a few. The La Grande Bellezza was a limited edition offering available only through Goulet Pens, which I believe is no longer available. I have one of those that I'll show you during my writing sample. It's my favorite Pineider in my collection. Metropolis was a groundbreaking film from 1927 directed by Fritz Lang. It's one of the first feature-length science fiction movies, and the art direction, special effects, and imagery is still very influential even today. Every 10 years, the film magazine Sight and Sound comes out with a poll. They poll movie critics as to their top 10 films and then determine the top 250 films of all time. It's due to come out again in August of 2022, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing this iteration of the list. It's very interesting to go back and look at the films over time and see how tastes have changed and how certain films had fallen or risen in their place in history. Metropolis, the film that this pen is named after, came in at number 35 back in 2012. When the last list came out, I determined that I had seen maybe about 35 or 40% of the films on the list. Next year, when the new ones come out or the new list comes out, I think I might make it a goal to watch every film on the list by the time the next list comes out. So that gives me 10 years to watch probably about 150 films. So that sounds doable, as long as I can find all of the films. Some of the older ones are rather difficult to get your hands on. I could talk at length about the Sight and Sound poll, but let's go ahead and get back to this pen. The pen is available in 8 different colors: red, white, yellow, orange, green, black, and then these last two are a bit tricky. This is what they call gray. I would say that that's more of like a light lavender. And then this is the blue model, which looks more like eggplant in my opinion. I have a blue model here as well that I'll be showing you during the writing sample, and this is the pen which I will be giving away. This one here is the orange, and I just thought that this color showed up a little bit better on camera. The pen is made from an injection molded resin proprietary to Pineider called ultra resin. It's a special formula of mother of pearl and a compound resin. While very lightweight, the material is exceedingly strong. You can see here in a microscope shot, the material has a bit of pearlescence to it. Pineider's Avatar model is made from the same resin, and a number of folks have done strength tests on that pen. Brian Goulet has a couple of videos testing it out. He has one where he pounds on it with a hammer, and another one where he runs over it with a car several times, and the material was just fine. Let's start by taking a look at the cap. I like the looks of this clip and how it wraps around the rounded top of the cap. Like the rest of the trim, the clip is black. The clip is fairly thin and hinges on the pen that you can see here. The clip has a bit of a rope design, or maybe it's supposed to be like a feather, and is made from a marine grade steel. In order to be considered a marine grade, the material must be able to resist corrosive effects that are common in a water environment. But I like the way it hinges. The cap is straight until you reach the cap band. On one side it says Pineider, and on the other side it has the name of the pen, Metropolis, as well as made in Italy. I do like that this band is stamped rather than engraved. You can see here in this microscope shot there is the slightest amount of texture on top of the letters. Then there is a small step down from the cap to the barrel. The barrel tapers down at an even angle until you reach the end where there is a metal piece which is recessed in order to accommodate the previously discussed custom pen system. You can customize your pen with a number of provided artistic elements. After the size comparisons, I'll show you exactly how it works. It's worth checking out. Now, some other Pineider pens can be completely disassembled, and I mean completely taken apart. Every single part of the pen comes apart. I don't believe that that's the case with the Metropolis. You could remove the clip if you like. This pen will push out, but I don't believe the rest of the trim can be removed. It appears to be affixed with an adhesive. The cap twists off in just under 2 full rotations, and underneath we have a stainless steel nib, roughly a number 5 sized. This nib is available in either fine or medium and is stamped with the Pineider coat of arms, which looks pretty cool on a nib. Here's a close-up shot right after I inked up the pen. I thought all the ink there in the grooves looked rather neat. You'll see in the writing sample, but I was pleasantly surprised with this nib. For a nib on an entry-level pen into this brand, I found it to be very pleasant. It's fairly smooth with a slight bit of drag. And here's a look at the plastic feed. Here's what the section looks like. It starts off straight for about 1/2 inch and then angles up slightly into a small step up into the metal cap threads and the remainder of the barrel. It's a little tough to see here, but once the section begins to angle up, it has a bit of a treatment on it. Now, it's a very, very light application. When you are rubbing your fingers across it, you could barely feel the difference. I really don't find the non-treated portion of the section to be slick at all. Here's a close-up look at that transition. You can see the top portion is a bit smoother, and the bottom has more texture. I don't mind having the extra texture on the section. That's a good idea. I'm just not quite certain why they didn't have that texture on the entire section. I do find this section to be comfortable. The threads sit far enough back that for my grip style, they're out of the way. If you grip your pens a little bit further back and they do rest on them, I don't find them to be sharp or uncomfortable. This is a very lightweight pen, just in regard to the physical weight. I just wish it was a little bit heavier. I think that, it could be a little bit deceiving, the lack of weight. The lack of heft can make you feel like the pen is made out of a lesser quality material than I believe it actually is. And it does feel a little bit plasticky. The cap does post, and it does post securely. And while the cap isn't especially heavy, with the lack of weight in the barrel having the cap posted, I do find that it throws off the balance of this pen, in my opinion, back-weighting it a fair amount. In addition, my hand kind of rests right on the edge of the cap here, where the cap band is, and it kind of rubs up against my hand, and while it's not sharp, I don't find it to be particularly comfortable, so I prefer to use this pen unposted. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international long and short cartridges. A short one arrives with the pen. In regard to a converter, something that's nice that is going on through Goulet Pens, a standard international converter is added to your order as a free gift with this particular pen. Also, something that I really like is that when you pull up the product on their site, you can see here, right under where you make your nib selection, that the option for the free converter is already checked. Now, if for some reason you don't need a converter, you can uncheck that box, but it's nice that the default is to have it checked. So if you were purchasing this pen and you didn't happen to notice a converter wasn't included with it, you will receive the converter anyways. I thought that was a nice touch in regard to good customer support by Goulet. Another thing, I searched 4 other retailers selling this pen at the same price, and Goulet was the only one I found which included a converter at no extra cost. With this pen, I actually prefer to use it with a converter because it adds a small amount of weight to the pen, more than a cartridge would. It's not much weight, but anything to add a bit of heft to this pen is a good thing. In regard to cost, the Pineider Metropolis retails at Goulet Pens for $86.40. Having the converter included at no cost through Goulet was a nice value add for this pen. Would I like it if it was about $10 to $15 less? Sure, but the current price isn't unreasonable for what you receive with this pen. The material is unique, it comes in some interesting colors, and I like the performance of the nib. And I haven't even discussed the novelty customization feature of this pen, but I'll get to that here in a minute. It's something unique that you'll want to see in action. Thanks again. Go out to Goulet Pens for providing these pens for review. I'll give you a closer look at this one being given away during the size comparisons. In order to enter to win, all you need to do is be a subscriber to this channel, throw a like on this video, and leave a comment below in YouTube. If you would care for a second chance at winning, you can also enter on Instagram, where I am at Figboot11. All you need to do there is follow my feed if you don't already, and find the recent post where I show this very orange pen and leave a like and a comment there as well. So if you follow and like and comment in both places, you can double your chance at winning. Complete contest details can be found in the notes below this video. In regard to a comment topic, I mentioned the Metropolis was named after the famous and influential film of the same name. If you could name a pen after a movie, what would that film be? And what distinguishing characteristics would that pen have that relates to the film? Maybe one from The Natural. Maybe it would be like a baseball bat with a lightning bolt. Or maybe a Ferris Bueller pen where the cap had the same color scheme as the jacket and vest Ferris wore in the film. That might make a Ferris Bueller might make for a really great Retro 51 design. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a look at the aforementioned customization options for this pen, as well as a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Pineider Metropolis. First of all, in regard to some other orange pens, here it is with a Lamy All-Star and a Diplomat Aero. And then finally, here it is with a Delta Dolce Vita Oro. In regard to some other pens, here it is with the blue model. I wanted to give you a closer look at that. I really do think that that looks like more of like an eggplant or a purple than a blue, but they call it blue, and that's the pen that you could win. Here is the Pineider. This is the Grande Bellezza, which was an exclusive offering through Goulet Pens, and a pen that I enjoy very much. And then finally, a pen that you're going to be seeing reviewed here in the next couple of weeks is a brand new offering from Benu, and this is called the Talisman, and this is the Dragon's Blood model. I really like that green and red and then black in here with a little red speckles. I just think that's very interesting looking material on this faceted barrel, and that's what it looks like in comparison to the Pineider. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, this is what it looks like with the All-Star and the Diplomat and then the Delta. Okay, let's take a look at the customization feature here. Let me go ahead and put this sideways. I know you're not necessarily reading this sideways, but you could see the whole box. The one thing that I noticed on here was it said you have 90 designs to choose from. I actually did the math, and they have more than that. It's actually 739 combinations, as I'll show you here in a minute. But inside the box, we have a couple of things. There is a little use and care guide. There is some information on Pineider itself. And then inside here we have these lenses. There was a cartridge as well. And then we have these little inserts. Let me give you a little closer look at that. It looks like it has all of the letters, so you could have a single letter, or you could split up the letters. This is where I think they messed up on the math, because this isn't necessarily one option. You could have a G and a T and a G and a U and a G and a V. You could split up the letters. Then there's the astrological signs, as well as some other signs here. So you can see there's a number of different options here. And then right here we have some lenses. So let me just go ahead and get one of these out. It's kind of nice that they give you two. And it's a little lens like this. And so what's going to happen is on the end of the pen, you're going to take one of these out and it's going to fit here on the end of the pen, and then the lens inserts in here. Now, I will say that I have played around with this a little bit, and you reuse this and put different things in as long as you don't push the lens down too far. You can see here, I haven't pushed it in at all, and there's a little bit of a gap in there. But if you push it down so far that there's no straight portion here, and it's only the rounded part that's showing, then it's going to be very difficult to get this out. But let's go ahead and take one of these out. Let's take the D for David. And we're just going to insert this in here. And then, of course, I'm going to want to orient it the right way. So let's have it orienting with the nib, the way I'd like it to be with the nib. And once it is in there, then we can just go ahead and insert there. And so now we have a nice little D on the end of the pen. Now, I will say that these just kind of look like, cheap cardboard, but once they're actually in here, they don't look that bad. And that also I was figuring that, you could make your own design that's in here. If you wanted to put like a very small picture or something like that, or a drawing or anything that you want to, I think that it's neat and customizable. The fact that you're not necessarily limited to only what's here in order to put in the back, that you could put anything back here at all. And I think that would be rather cool. So that's what the customizable feature is. So let's go ahead and do a writing sample now. So here we have the Pineider Metropolis. This is a medium stainless steel nib. And the ink that I'm using is one of my favorite orange inks. I figured since this was an orange pen, I needed to have a good orange ink, and that would be Mont Blanc. Lucky Orange. This is what the orange looks like. Like I said, it's one of my favorite orange. It's really bright and vibrant. This is another one of my favorite oranges, which is the Ackerman Orange A Bovin. And then another orange that is recently been released that I really like is the Leonardo Arancio Tarocco. All three of these are really nice, and I enjoy all of them. This is what the Mont Blanc bottle looks like. This is one of their smaller ones. I'm running, maybe I've used about half of this. Maybe I need to try to hunt one of these down. I know they're not the easiest to come by, but I do really like this orange, so I might need to try to find another one of these. Okay, here we go with the rest of the writing sample. As I mentioned, I was rather impressed with this nib, that it's fairly smooth and it has a little bit of what I would call drag, not necessarily scratchiness or feedback. It kind of feels just a little bit like a dull pencil, but not so much that it's bothersome, that it's a nice, pleasant feedback and kind of feeling on the nib. In regard to ink flow on this medium nib, I find the ink flow to be decent. And in regard to reverse writing, a little stop and go there. In regard to some fast writing, the feed has no issue in keeping up. So here is the Pineider Metropolis. I think this is a very interesting addition to the Pineider lineup, especially being an entry-level pen into their brand. It has some really nice colors and interesting design, and the customization feature is rather interesting. And I kind of like the fact that you could put whatever you want to in there, not just what they provide. So don't forget to do what you need to do in order to enter to win this blue model here, and good luck to everyone who enters. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.